Hello and welcome back to Business with Smith Co. Today I'm going to be talking about, the thing where you have the impact of expansion on a business. Looking at the short-term and long-term impacts. So let's head straight in. Okay, so when you're looking at this sort of thing, you have to kind of say, okay, so you've got yourself your short-term and long-term impacts, but these kind of follow, a couple of main areas, and that's ownership, structure, product mix, profitability, and you've got employment. So, first of all, we're going to look at the short-term, and when it comes to ownership structure, as business expands, a new structure might be required, as more activities might need to be organized. You've got all these kind of things, where let's say you have this kind of thing where, let's say I said, okay, we've reached 100,000 subscribers, let's hire an editor. You need to expand this sort of thing, you need to change your system like that. It may be unexpected, you may not have expected the business to expand in this area, so sometimes when you might be like, well, no, this works well for this system, and for how we are now, this is perfect, but it may not work at all as well when you then expand and then you bring on new things. This is specifically as well when a business might expand into a new market, and not just that, but like a market when it comes to products. Because then it's like, well, you have to organize a totally new system here, maybe new shareholders and all these sort of things here. If you actually finance it back, you might even have to bring in new shareholders, and then there's the whole thing where you've got the kind of shareholders things that might be reorganized as well. Now, you might need a formal organization structure. For example, you've got a functional structure that identifies the chain of command and span of control within the business. Because when you have employees, sometimes you just have employees, then there's you, and that's it. But when the business grows and gets very big, sometimes business can become so big, it comes down to the 7-year approach where you begin to go, is this necessary? Well, this is how things run. And sometimes what happens is that you've got employees, and above them are managers, but those managers, there's multiple managers, and above them are like managers of those managers, and then you got all these kind of things where you've got this span of control and chain of command, and all those things mean that people have bosses, but then you've got bosses above those people. So instead of just a basic system whereas I am your boss, but I also own the company, it's like, well, I am your boss, but then I have my boss, and then obviously you've got all the things. And sometimes this can actually be beneficial, because what it can mean is that the people who are your technical bosses, who are the ones who are going to be there and might have something that's personally, it might be person stand against you, all these kind of things here, because they're working with you, and that kind of thing. Well, they should be working with you, otherwise they're not really doing much. But, that kind of thing, the system you have there, then sometimes this can benefit, because it's like, well, you don't just have a system whereby it's, I'm the boss, that's it. It can be, someone above them. But of course, that can also be a problem, because resources and everything like that, there can be a problem with, paying people a fair wage, and there's all that sort of problems you have there. But you also have the product mix. So any products that are acquired during expansion that do not fit the company's business model, the company may need to obviously, as I've already, just change the business model. And if they don't want to, then those products will need to be sold off. Now, you also have profitability. See, restructuring costs initially can cause profits to fall, and this can be due to the increased spending on machinery, buildings, ICT, change of system use, and, training for these things, premises, and, if you have to hire new employees, and all these kind of things you have here, in which you're kind of changing all these things, and, profitability can even fall on to the point whereby you may even be in debt. Now, obviously, as we talk about when you talk about the long-term impacts, that debt can be so it can be small when you look at how much profit you will increase by due to expansion. But you know what I mean? Sometimes a lot of businesses that might not have millions upon billions, even millions, might see that they need to use this money through using debt capital, and oftentimes you might be in a system whereby you are in debt and you do have payments, and you do have this thing where profits might fall to pretty much nil. But because your business, unlike a person who has to spend money on all these things, it's like, well, yes, their profits are down, but unlike a person who just works, they work, and then in return for work they get money, it's like, no, the business, they invest money, this is an investment of money, and then obviously the business will go. But we'll talk about more when we look at the long-term impacts. Now, then you have employment. You see, initial expansion might result in the rationalization of the business and attempts to remove wasteful duplication of roles, and this can lead to compulsory redundancies. See, like, you oftentimes need just like people to manage these different sectors. Like, you just need to. Like, you need to, if you not want to, like, if you're a big business, or you just sort of an average business, you might need an accountant. That might be, of course, outside the business, but that's still in a way that you're still having this sort of system where there, and there's all these kind of different departments that their job is not necessarily, it's not because of how big the business is, it's more just, it's a business of a particular size. Like, obviously, if it, went by 10 times, maybe you might need more employees, but it's not really, if the business doubles up in size or even triples or quadruples in size, it's not going to really have an effect on the staff in that particular area, because they're only employed in that business because the business exists. If the business didn't exist, obviously it wouldn't be a problem, but that's the kind of thing you have there. And obviously when a business expands, it might go, if you've expanded and you've merged with another company, or you've taken over another company, you might go, well, that company also had all these employees, but together we now have, merged this department. So both our departments in both these businesses obviously had to have employees. But because this department is not based on how big the business is, and just because the department is required, then we merge this department together. And now we've got double the employees we need. That's fine. And that can lead to problems. And this kind of uncertainty and fear about the future can demotivate staff and management and cause industrial relation problems. Because, let's say, you got the system where I'm saying, okay, so why are you firing me though? And these are all the kind of things where it's kind of very serious when you think, And you also have the different area here when it's like the change in employment kind of matters in the smaller terms. Like, my pay might suddenly be very different. Like, one business might really underpay people. Another business might be like, well, let's say both businesses are very profitable. One business might go, no, we're a kind business. We're going to employ our employees. We're going to pay our employees a nice wage. We're able to afford it. They make us the money, We're not going to squeeze them out. If they make us £1 million, we'll give them 900,000 back. We're going to give our employees back that 900,000. Obviously, we're going to still keep that 100,000, but we're not going to say, you made us £1 million. We'll give you 1,000 quid. There's not going to be that thing where it's like, well, you're underpaying your employees. Instead, the business might go, well, we're going to pay you a nice wage because you make us a nice bit of profit. But another company might go, no, we prefer actually to keep the profits ourselves, and turns out we don't pay our employees like that. No, we pay our employees dirt cheap, and they make us a lot of money. We're just as profitable as you are. Our reason for paying the employees so little is not because of profits, it's just because we want to. And that's the kind of thing you have there, and that can lead to problems, because if one business is taking over another, if one business is like, we pay our employees dirt cheap, and the other business is like, we pay our employees well, then that can lead to people going, wait, my pay is getting slashed now? And it's not because of how work, it's not because of profitability, it's just because you want it? Well, that can lead to all these sort of problems down there, this area. Now, what happens when you say, okay, well, that's all short-term impacts, but what are the long-term impacts? What are they? Well, those are the kind of things you have there when, you have to think, well, yeah, and you prefer to think that, like, these are short-term impacts, they're all well and good. Some of them might end up causing lasting impacts, but some of them are just sort of like, this is happening in the moment, but it won't happen, it won't continue to happen. It'll change, or it'll just disappear, or whatever it may be in the future. What are all these things? What is the long-term impact of organization structure, product mix, profitability? What is the structure of all these things? Well, those are all things that we'll be finding out in the next video. Apologies for the breakup in it. Anyway, please do join us then. If not, you can view other videos, and you can subscribe to the channel. It'll be absolutely perfection. If you don't want to view other videos, but now I know the future is this. Bye bye for everything, and I hope that you will enjoy the rest of your existence.